Good afternoon, guys. We're on the move already. I didn't think you would want a break, seeing as I went and got some petrol and bits and pieces, because today's bank holiday and we're on our way to Adam's house, which is about an hour away. So yeah, I figured I would save you a trip to the petrol station, basically, which, in all honesty, is been a bit weird, actually. I've never experienced this before at all. I went to the petrol station and I got some petrol. I was like, okay, great. Went down the road and my mileage had gone down. I was like, how have I just put 30 quid in my tank and got less mileage than when I went into the petrol station? What is that all about? So I turned around, went back and thought, I'd just have a word with the petrol station and go, look, what's going on? Is it possible that could happen? She went, no, you probably got an airlock. I was like, I've never experienced an airlock before, ever, in terms of pumping petrol. I've got to be honest with you. Is that a thing? I have no idea. But yeah, apparently if you drive around a little bit, you'll get rid of the airlock. So I'm about, well, I would say about 3 or 4 miles down the road now. And I started off on 85 miles, but now it's gone up to 95 miles. Now, I don't know whether that's because I'm just doing a constant steady speed and it just goes up like that, or it's working itself out with the whole airlock thing. I don't know. We shall see. So yeah, we're on our way to West London. Apparently there is some sort of festival going on there for beer and food and music and stuff that Adam has said is going to be amazing. So I said, yeah, I'm bang on for that. We was going to link up anyway, and we was going to see each other this weekend anyway, because that's what we just planned to do. But it just so happens there's a nice little festival on anyway, and it looks like the road all the way down now is nice and clear. Amazing. Oh, up to 100 miles now. So I think gradually this thing is slowly working its way out of an airlock. So yeah, quite possibly it is. Anyway, so yesterday, obviously played football yesterday, as I do most days. Played football yesterday. Sadly, we lost. Missed an absolute sitter. Corner came in, right on my right foot, powered it over the bar. Absolute nightmare. Should have stuck that away. And then there was one that I was just about to hit and my teammate took it off my foot and scored it. Again, annoying. So, what are you going to do? But I think I had an all-round okay game. I was trod on a few times, to be honest. And managed to nutmeg my friend, so I was quite happy with that. I'll dine on that for a while, but I'm sure we'll link with Snap Fitness again for another football match. But the big one for this weekend coming is playing at Priestfield Stadium, Gillingham's home ground. So we're going to have a stadium full of people. Well, I don't know about full of people, but there's going to be a stadium of people there. And yeah, they can come and watch the game, and I'm going to be playing. It's going to be amazing. So yeah, there's going to be a few family and friends there and bits and pieces, and it'll be amazing to actually play in a stadium with people and like actually do it properly. It's going to be immense. Can't wait for that. Cannot wait for that. So that's this Sunday coming. But we've got Wednesday game to play and we've got Friday game to play. So Wednesday we missed out on last week. Friday is a new season. So yeah, lots of football to be had this week. I even put myself forward for maybe a Thursday game if that was possible. So I might end up playing this week Wednesday, Thursday, Friday and Sunday. I just hope my ankles can take it and my fitness is up to it as well. I'm sure it is. I'm sure my fitness is fine. I mean, I did fairly well yesterday. I played majority of the game yesterday. I think I only had about maybe 20 minutes of it not playing yesterday. So I played a good 70 minutes, which was nice, and my ankles felt okay. Last Friday, my ankles were very, very mobile for some reason. I have no idea why. But on Wednesday this week, I've got an MRI scan for my ankles to find out whether they can actually do anything about it, or whether I'm just living with the pain for the rest of my days, or or they can actually spin some blood, make it in a plasma and fire it in there and maybe promote some health. We shall see. I hope to God that they can do something about it and it's not pain. I mean, there's a couple of things that I've researched as well that may help. Maybe going in there and just scraping some of that calcified area off, which is like a small surgery, but not as invasive as, like, you're not going to walk for 2 years, you know. But we shall see. Anyway, I mean, I just wish I could throw back to, you know, the the 8 years ago that I actually had the injury and did something about it and stopped and took care of it. Just, idiot, absolute idiot. And sometimes you think, why can't I have ankles that were literally like they were 10 years ago? I'd be so much more of a better footballer and so much healthier and fitter because I'm able to bleed and run. Ugh. And everything I've looked up on the subject as well, I was like, yep, did that, yep, did that, yep. It's like a perfect storm of everything I did wrong. It's just ridiculous. But I'm sorry, guys, I'm just moaning at you here. I'm looking very positive to this week. Very positive indeed. So literally I am going to be bright and airy and shiny and look forward to the week coming ahead with my MRI scan and my football games as well. Plus I'm excited to see Adam as well. You know, I've not seen him for a while after we had our little disagreement and fallout. I think you might remember on some of the other episodes where I spoke about it, where, you know, I did this boxing match in aid of his boy that passed away, and he didn't show any support whatsoever, and I felt a little bit let down by that. Really, I wasn't angry. I felt let down. I felt really let down, and there was a few other people that I felt let down by. But yeah, it's like like yesterday, I had a little bit of a dig. So obviously the other team, they were there, but Fred, one of my friends, is one of the guys who said he was going to come to this boxing match, that I was going to do it, and he didn't sponsor or anything like that. Yesterday he was struggling for numbers. Like, he was saying he only had 10 for the game, and then there was one person that turned up, and he said, yeah, I just feel a little bit let down, to be honest. I said, yeah, it really is annoying when people tell you they're going to come and then they don't show up, and he went off quiet. Perfect opportunity to lay that one in. So Fred, if you ever listen or watch this, which I doubt you ever will because you're not that sort of person to listen to a podcast or watch, that felt amazing to say that to you when you felt let down. Imagine how I felt when I was completely out of my comfort zone. Yeah. Tell you what, that biker that's just gone past has got more arse. Jesus. It's got more arse crack than I've ever seen. So there's a Lambo and about 5-6 bikes gone by. I mean, to be honest with you, they don't know if make a really nice sound. But yeah, maybe you should stick your arse crack away first. That would probably help you, you know. A couple of text messages. No. And no. Oh, no.
William Ross.
No, we're not speaking about that. That is just a group that I'm in, where a guy is, he works on a farm and he sells very cheap meat, which is kind of cool. I had a couple of his beef Wellingtons once. Very, very nice indeed, actually. Really nice. Not going to complain about that at all. So yeah, going back to flashing back. So we're going back. I was thinking about some of the things that I used to do when I was younger the other day, because I saw a picture of me like 8 years ago, something like that. And I thought, my God, I've just aged so much in the last 8 years. What is going on? It's like, rather than a steady decline, it's just hit a cliff and gone off. Like, my God, I'm just an old boy now. Getting old. So yeah, some of the mad things that you used to go up to, like when you was living in Spain, or like when you're messing around with your brother and stuff. I mean, there was this time when I actually came home from Spain, and we were sort of messing around in the living room, and I think my dad was at golf at the time, and mum was just sort of changing the bed sheets or whatever. I don't know what she was doing. She was cleaning up or something. And I jumped on my brother's back, and we was in the dining room. Sounds very posh, doesn't it? The dining room is literally just a room with a table in it that's connected to the hallway. And I jumped on his back, and he sort of tried to get me off by sort of slamming his back against the wall. But what happened is he actually slammed my arse into the wall, and suddenly the wall had a massive, great big hole in it. And I'm sure you parents out there, when you got a couple of kids or whatever, when you hear that, there's no noise, someone's either dead or done something. And that's what happened. I was messing about, hole in the wall. I've looked at him, he's looked at me, and I thought, shit, I can't get us out of this one. Like, usually I'm quick thinking, I can't get us out of this one at all. I can't do it. Just gonna have to look at it and go, soz, or pay for the damage. So mum obviously came in after hearing like nothing, and went, what's going on? And she took one look at it and went, oh my God. I was like, your dad's going to be furious. I was like, oh, this is all I need. Come back from Spain and just instant grief. And like, you know, when my dad goes off, he goes off. You know, he's not a violent man, but in that moment I thought, this could be the first time this man could be violent to me and my brother. But as an older, you know, the older brother, I was always going to get it in the neck first. You know, he was just going to be like, rah. And yeah, I was the one who's going to get the brunt of it. I was sure about that. So mum gave her a joke. She went, look, sit in the living room. He'll be in a minute. Let me warm him up and settle him in, and then we'll show him. I was like, all right, okay, good plan. So he comes walking through the door. I'm thinking, please have a good day at golf. Please have a good day playing golf. Hit hole in one or something and be happy. Comes in, hey, you're right, yeah. Like, the hallway door shuts. I'm thinking, oh, God. Like, this is going to be like the reveal, like, you know, tonight, Matthew, I'm going to be. And then there it is, a hole in the wall. So he comes in, and I'm sitting on the sofa like a naughty schoolboy, you know, just sort of legs together, hands on my lap, and so my brother, and I'm just thinking, oh, this is going to be bad. And he goes, how was the golf? Oh, I didn't do too well. I'm thinking, oh, shit. So yeah, I've got some lunch for you, you know, what you fancy, really buttering him up, like, you know. And then kind of, well, the boys have had a little bit of an accident, and he's like, oh, what happened? And she just went, well, it's probably best I show you. I'm thinking, oh, here we go, this is gonna be bad. He comes wandering through the door, and he just looks at it and goes, oh, for bloody hell. And he just looked at me and my brother, just both sitting there. I went, look, Dad, look, I'll pay for the damage, whatever it is, you know, however much it is. I got a bit of quid. I'll pay for the damage. I'll pay for the redecoration. You know, I know you're not got no wallpaper or nothing like that. So, well, I'll pay for the wallpaper on the wall or the paint or whatever you want to do with it. I'll pay for it. And it's like, oh, I don't know, I ain't got no wallpaper out the back, and like it's gonna cost like for wood, and then you're gonna cost for like the plasterboard, and oh, I'm sitting there thinking, oh Christ, I know how much plasterboard is and wood is, and like wallpaper in the whole room because it matches the living room as well, and oh, it's gonna pay for that, and like money's just racking up in my head, thinking, oh shit, I just bankrupted myself here. And then I was like, okay, fine, that's all right, we'll just do it, it's fine. And he said, look, in all honesty, I've got some spare wallpaper out the back and some spare plasterboard and a bit of wood. I can have it done within a couple of hours. I went, really? I said, I'll pay for it. He goes, no, it's not going to cost me anything. I was like, oh, breathe easy. But he said, because you offered to pay for it, I'm not gonna charge you any money for the repair work. I was like, all right, cool. So you were gonna charge me if I didn't? He went, well, yeah, your mess. You pay for someone to do it. I was like, all right, okay, fair dues. Understand that. Even though it was gonna cost you nothing to do yourself, but all right. I said, look, I'll even do it. He goes, no, it's all right. I'll do it. It's fine. Oh, okay, cool. And yeah, next day, you wouldn't even know the hole was there. And I tell you what, this hole was large. I would say it was about, a good metre tall by about 30 centimetres wide, maybe 40 centimetres wide, something like that. It was quite a big hole. Well, you can imagine the size of my arse, if you can. I'm quite a big guy, 6'3", 106 kilos. It's a sizable arse. So, yeah, it was a big hole. And then promptly about a week later, I fucked off back to Spain again. So, dropped in, caused the hole, sod off again. Brilliant. Successful meeting. But, you know, I made up for it in other ways, I guess, you know. I did do some good things, like, one Christmas, my old man bought my mum a scarf as a Christmas present, or one of his Christmas presents, and she hated it. Hated the scarf with passion. Said it was horrible. Hated it. I quite like the scarf, actually. So I ended up wearing it on my head for about 3 days. Don't ask me why. I just ended up wearing it on my head for 3 days. Obviously, I took it off when I went to sleep and stuff, but it went right back on the day afterwards, though. It's like a turban for 3 days. I don't know why. But then I ended up sitting out on the... or was it a birthday? I think it might have been a birthday. Yeah, because I was sitting out on the roof. And it was quite warm, so about September time, yeah. So probably a birthday then, yeah. And I wore that on my head. My brother had a camera for his birthday. It was like one of those Instamatic camera things, but it had tiny little pictures. So it wasn't like a proper Polaroid camera. It was just, I don't know, like a small Polaroid kids camera kind of thing, you know. For some reason, this is being a bit of a pain. There we go. Small Polaroid kids camera. And it just, for some, I don't know where it is or where it went to or where it is now, but there is a whole album, like an entire album of me with this scarf on my head doing stupid faces. One for the album, kids, one for the album. Might show the grandchildren, I guess. I don't know. So yeah, I mean, obviously you have certain memories and stuff that you have in the past. I mean, I don't know about you, whether you've ever thought about it or not, what your earliest memory is. I probably have two very early memories of when I was about, I don't know, I think one was maybe about when I was 2 or 3, maybe 2. It was a very vague memory, but I do have a memory of it. And one is probably about the same age, really. I was over Wat Tyler Country Park with me, my nan, and my mum. And I think I was in a pushchair. And this was like the 80s, right? So 80s pushchairs are basically death traps on wheels. And this pushchair had like a clip-on thing that went over it. There was like a plastic kind of drop over it to keep you out from the rain. And I just remember being in the pushchair with this plastic rain cover over it, and just seeing my nan now. And we was over by like the old houses, like, because if you know what Tyler Country Park at all, there's like some very old world 16th, 17th century houses that are just propped there, all made of wood and very old, and there's no one that lives in them or anything like that. They're just there. And I remember that. That's kind of one of my memories. And the other one is I was in the back of a car. Couldn't tell you what car, but I was in the back of a car. And it was the first time that I don't know whether... See, that doesn't make sense if it's the first time I ever went to the new home, because I would have only been about 6 months old, and there's definitely not that, because I remember looking out of the window. But I felt, not anxiety, but I felt stressed or excited or some sort of heightened emotion about going to where my mum and dad live now. And I was in the back of the car, and it was in a car seat, I think. So I must have been maybe 3 or 4, something like that. But I just remember looking out and feeling a heightened sense of, I don't know, excitement or anxiety or something or other, going towards this house, like it was the first time that I was going there. So I don't know. Also, I have another memory, and I don't know whether this was when I was a bit older. Maybe I'd have been 5 or 6 or something. But there was a party next door at Corin and Bob's, right? That's the next door neighbours. Sadly, Bob's dead now, which is a shame. He died a long time ago of a stroke. But Corin is still there, I think. And there was a party there, and my mum and dad wanted to go, and I think I was in the pushchair asleep. And the reason why I know I was asleep, I was kind of drifting in and out, because I knew I was there, I knew I was at the party, and I knew I was at Corin and Bob's, but I kind, you know when you do that whole kind of pretend that you're asleep kind of thing that you do with your parents when they're sort of in there, and you go, I am asleep, honestly, I'm pretending to be asleep, but really you're not at all. So yeah, I was doing that at that party, and I was thinking, I'm too shy to open my eyes and be part of this party. I'm too shy. And just kept my eyes shut. And then I just remember drifting in and out of consciousness, like sleeping and stuff. So that was some of my early memories. And I remember being in school. I remember that I took a marker pen out of a bin and put it in my pocket. And then a teacher collared me and said, "You can't take that, that's stealing." I was like, "But it was in the bin, you were going to throw it away." "No, you can't take it, it's stealing." I was like, "All right, fine," even though it was in the bin. And I tell you who dobbed me out, probably the worst person in the world, bloody Michael Ash. Don't know where he's at now though. But yeah, Michael Ash, probably the naughtiest kid in the bloody class, see me pick the pen out of the bloody bin, put it in my pocket and went, "Miss, he's stolen a pen." I was like, "What?" "It was in the bin." Yeah, and she collared me. So like, "You can't take that, that's stealing. It's in the bin." But yeah, she scolded me for that. Oh, I remember play school as well. Play school, right, so in play school, why is it like you always like remember the bad shit that happened to you when you're younger? You don't ever remember the good shit that happened when you're younger. So I was in play school, and in play school they had this ride-on train on a track, and it was almost near impossible to get on this thing because every kid wanted to be on it every single hour of the day. And the play school was at a place called Khashoggi, which is like basically it's a World War II exploded bomb crater with a house next to it. That's pretty much what it is. So everyone would go down there with their bikes and stuff like that and ride the crater. It's a pretty big crater, to be honest. And it's only about 100 yards from my nan's house, from where she was living during the war. And so this play school wasn't a particularly nice play school, but it was a play school for when I was like between 2 and 4. And I remember that, my mum used to come pick me up at like midday, and then we'd go home, have sandwiches, and I'd watch TV for the remainder of the day. That's pretty much it. Update. We're up to 290 miles now, so that airlock has gone in. It's fine. It was an airlock. We're all good. So anyway, back to that. Yeah, I just remember that there would be a play school thing, and everybody wanted to get on this train thing, and it was always the same. And I remember being pulled up by my mum after one particular play school for spitting at someone. I was like, I didn't spit at anyone. I mean, in my head, it wasn't a definition of spit. It was basically throwing a raspberry at someone. Like, but whoever it was went, "No, he spat at me." And I was like, definitely didn't spit at her. Definitely didn't spit at him. But yeah, it was basically blowing a raspberry. That's what it was. Yeah. Whatever. What are you going to do? But yeah, that's some of the early memories of mine. I did start writing a book during lockdown of all of my memories that I can ever remember. Remember. Like starting from really early doors all the way up till present day. And I did get quite a way into it, sort of getting into maybe secondary school. And that's where shit just started popping off, really. And it was like a tell-all kind of thing, where, it was like all those things you'd never held back from your parents, and all those things that you'd kind of not told your friends or not told your family or whatever, or the thoughts and the feelings that you have in at the time, just to kind of give a well-rounded account of how you became to be this person today. Because you never really, obviously you get like biographies and all that kind of thing, but it's either for a famous person and it's written by someone while they're sitting there dictating, or you don't get the whole insight into what it is. It doesn't really paint a picture of that moment that they were in. So yeah. So yeah, I did start writing that, and I should really go through that and carry on writing it. It'll be a good while writing it, I think. Because obviously memories carry on every day, and I'm 38 now, innit? So maybe I'll get it finished for my 40th birthday or something. And I can't believe I'm going to be 40 next year. 40! Like, I had a breakdown being 30. Like, once I'm 40, that means I'm on the way to 50. How am I a 40-year-old man? I don't even feel like a 40-year-old man. I don't even feel mature enough to be a 40-year-old man. I just feel stupid. But time is slipping away. And I tell you what, I watched that Afterlife again with Ricky Gervais in the other day. Again. Because obviously the first time round you're kind of trying to work it out and what it is. And then you watch it again and you kind of understand what it is and where it's coming from. So you kind of have to watch it twice. And obviously I was very entertained, but oh my God, I was in bits. Like, just tears streaming down my face sometimes. Very upsetting. Very, very upsetting. And it's very true. I mean, he touched on a few things that, you know, that I think about myself. You know, we're not going to die. We're all going to die at some point, just not today. I mean, some might be today, but, you know, there's like a thing, you know, where he says, it's like you're on a fairground ride, you know, there's excitements, there's ups, there's downs, but then as you're slowing down, you see someone else waiting to get on and they need your seat. And that's kind of a nice way of looking at the whole life thing. But, you know, you got to make every moment count because, you know, I'm 40 years into this thing now. Or nearly 40 years into this thing. And have I made it count? Yeah, I've had some great times. But there's also things that I'm missing, that I'm missing out on, that I want to experience. You know, I've never flown anywhere first class. I've never been to umpteen amounts of places and what have you. I've never done any of that. I've never been a dad. I've never been married. You know, there's so many things that I want to experience because when you look at it, you know, you might get back to like 65, 70 or whatever. I mean, nobody really knows when they're going to die. I mean, you might get an inkling if you get an illness or a disease, or you can kind of sense it that, you know, things aren't going too well with your body right now. So, you know, you get an inkling, but you never actually get an idea of, right, it's going to be today. Well, unless obviously you commit suicide or something like that, which is kind of cheating fate, but really when it comes to death, you don't really want to cheat fate. So yeah, it's nobody really knows. So when you get to that age, you don't really want to look back and go, should have done that. You know, I don't want to be this age and look back and go, shouldn't have done that, or I should have done that. You know, that's why I did the whole boxing thing, because, like, you know, I wanted to do it. This is what I wanted. I wanted to do this. Because if I get to a certain age and I can't, I'm going to regret not being able to do it. So I did it. No, I don't think I've never been skiing. Never learned how to ski. Probably should do. I would like to learn how to ski. But there's certain things, you know, you want to do in life or whatever, but, you know, you only get one life. This isn't a practice. It's not like you get to like 70 or 80 years old and then go, oh, don't worry, I'll be back round again in a minute. No, that's it. You're done. You're finished. Unless obviously you believe in reincarnation, but even then, that's not you. You don't have another life. This is it. So if you're feeling anxious or depressed or upset, or you feel like every day you're waking up to just the worst feelings in your own mind, you've got to sort that shit out quick, because you're going to regret feeling like that all of your life by the time you get to the point where you can maybe sense it coming, when you know it's on the way soon. You know, if you get to that point and you give up, who knows? You know, my dear old Nan, she's going to be 89 this year. 89. And she must have thought, you know, it's not going to be long. You know, it's not going to be long. You know, I've got another maybe 5-10 years tops. Touch wood, she has got 10-15 years, but I've been gearing myself up to lose my Nan for the last 10 years. I mean, it doesn't mean it's not going to hurt, but I'm going to be expecting it more than what I was my granddad, because I never even thought about it. It was just there. But my Nan, like, yeah, she must be sitting there thinking, holy shit, I'm staring down the barrel of this thing. You know, at some point, it's going to happen very, very soon. So I will be clinging on for dear life to, like, stay with it, stay alive, stay wanting it. Because the moment you just go, oh, I just don't want to live anymore, that's it, you'll go. You will go. And I think that's where, you know, you get people that are, you know, dying of a broken heart, you know, when their partner of, say, 50, 60 years dies. It's not that they die because of they're upset. They just give up not wanting to be with their partner, because they're so used to them being there. They just give up. So, yeah, I can understand it. I mean, one of the most recent understandings of that is my Uncle Bill. You know, he passed a couple of years ago, and it was within a year that his wife Pat died. And I tell you what, I had so much love for Pat. So much love for Pat. She was brilliant. She was just like this whirlwind of strength and power of a woman. Brilliant. And she was only about 4 foot tall and weighed about 60 kilos. Very tiny little lady, but my God, what a strong woman. Amazing. Used to power up them hills, walking, getting shot and come back again. She'd be over at the church, organising stuff and making sandwiches and what have you. Yeah, and then when my Uncle Bill died, I said to my mum, I went like, get Pat round for Christmas. 100%. Do not let Pat sit on her own, for Christ's sake. Get Pat round. And yeah, she did. She came round. She came round on that Christmas. And I was very glad at that. And I was glad that I was able to spend a couple of Christmases with Pat before she did eventually die. Yeah, she was a really lovely lady. Really lovely lady. But like I said, an absolute powerhouse of a woman. Powerhouse. And it's the same for my Uncle Bill as well. He was a strong-willed fella. I think I kind of take after him a little bit, really. You know, he used to go into a room and want to be a presence, want to own it, want to dominate it. And I'm much the same. You know, I don't want to come into a room and just hide in a corner. I want to be part of the conversation. Always do. I don't want to be like the centre of attention. I'm not like an attention-seeking hussy. I just want to be part of the conversation and part of the group and part of what's going on. But yeah, very very knowledgeable man on Corringham itself, because obviously that's where I'm from originally, is Corringham. And he spent all of his life there. You know, born there, grew up there, died there, literally on the same road. You know, never went. He literally moved about 100 yards down the road, and that was it. That was it. That's where he stayed his whole life, on the same road. And apart from a couple of years over in Fundersley, my nan is exactly the same. You know, she lives across the road where she was born, like literally across the road. The house that she was born in and lived in up until a certain point, she lives directly opposite. So she lived there, moved to Fundersley when she was younger and had a couple of kids, and then come back to the same road again, directly opposite where she was born. Like, so I've never been anywhere else other than that for a couple of years. And I don't think I could do that. I'm not that tall person to just be in one place all of the time, you know. I mean, as I've got a bit older, I've kind of been a bit, I don't really want to move anymore because it's just a hassle. It's annoying. So like when I was in Spain, obviously I moved quite a bit. I think it was like 13 times in 8 years or 10 years or something like that. And I just got really fed up of moving. So when it came to just settling into one place, I was like, great, I've done 8 years here. And then obviously they wanted to sell. I had to move around a couple of times. But now, again, you know, I've got my own little gaff there that I'm renting. And yeah, it's been what, nearly 5 years that I've been there. 4 years. Might be 4 years. Yeah, I think it's about 4 years, something like that. Yeah, Jesus, that's gone quick. So yeah, about 4 years that I've been there for that, and I don't know. Tell you what, there's a bit of traffic coming on now. This is not good. But yeah, so it's just all about memories today, really. I mean, what's the earliest memories that you've had? What is the sort of memories that you hold on to? Are you looking to make memories? Do you want a specific memory that you want to achieve? I mean, I don't have a specific something that I would like to do and have a memory of, but there's definitely certain things that I would like to experience. But this is what I was saying the other day, is when you do eventually go, within 2 generations you're forgotten anyway. Like literally forgotten. Like nobody will have any memory of you at all. Because like, say, I don't know, if you just page it down to, you know, you have a kid, and you have a parent, and then you become a grandparent. So obviously your parents will die and you're still alive, hopefully. And you have a kid, so obviously your kid will have a memory of you. And then you become a grandparent, and then obviously your grandchild will have a memory of you. But when you die, unless you become a great-grandparent, obviously, but then it's going to be very, 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 very young when you go, unless you have them all very, very early. But within a few generations, that's it, you're done, and no one's going to have any memories of you whatsoever. The only thing is going to be remaining of you is the legacy that you leave. So that could be bloodline, it could be I don't know, some music that you've written, a study that you've wrote, a book that you've wrote, something you've invented. It could be a number of things, you know. But even when you've done some of this stuff, now look at Steve Jobs, right? Everyone knows the name Steve Jobs from developing Apple. But once you've kind of got that, oh, I know who Steve Jobs is. You don't actually know him. You don't have any memories of him. You don't sit there and go, oh, I remember when Steve Jobs did this. Because you weren't there. You've never met him. Unless you're close personal friends with him. But even then, you know, if you knew Steve Jobs personally, once you die, those memories are gone. So no one's going to remember you there. So in terms of friends, no one's going to have any memory of you after that one person dies. So it's only family that's going to have any sort of remembrance of you physically. So when those 2 generations die, that's it. You're done. You're forgotten. That's why you get to like things like war memorials. We will remember them. Not anyone in specifically, it's just them. Because you can't remember someone physically because they're just not around. You don't know them. But remembering them as a whole and what they did and the sacrifice that they gave is a general how do you say that? So it encompasses the whole thing, you know. The idea of what they did and who they were and all that kind of thing. So, like me, you know, no one's going to remember me in 2 generations' time, and that's scary as shit to me. It's like when my granddad died, right? I have a memory of him. Absolutely have a memory of him. My brother has a memory of him. Absolutely does. But my brother's daughter doesn't. My niece doesn't. She never even met him. So she's not going to have a memory of him. So it's only going to be my brothers and sisters that are going to remember my granddad. Or cousins as well. That are going to remember my granddad. None of us who have had kids are going to have kids that are, you know, are going to remember him. And that's sad. Because he was a wonderful man. And you can't portray just how fantastic that man was and how genuinely unbelievable and how touched my life was with him. You can't describe that because, I mean, words are just words. So if you're deaf, words aren't going to describe anything. You're not going to know. I mean, you can certainly understand the passion and the thought behind those words, but if you're deaf and you can't hear words, how do you portray that? You can't get a feeling, can you? It's very difficult. Very difficult. So for me, that's something that scares the hell out of me, is the fact that I won't be remembered after two generations at this rate. I'm not going to have any kids to remember me anyway. So, I mean, even if I had a kid, like I'm 38 now. So by the time my kid is old enough to have a kid, so let's call it 20, right, I'll be banging on 60. And then by the time that kid is old enough to remember me, I'm going to be 80 or 90. So, yeah. I might not make it that far. Gotta be prepared for that, really. So yeah, I don't know. We shall see. But all I can do is just be me every day and be the best me that I can be. possibly. I mean, I guess that's why the whole thing with, like, you know, doing this podcast and what have you, because I wanted to give it a go. I've never done it before. And if I didn't give it a go, how would I ever know? You know, I mean, obviously we're on, well, this is going to be episode like number 12. So episode number 12, who says in a year's time we are on episode 200 and something, and it's getting a bit of recognition, and it's just good, you know, and who knows? I mean, obviously I spout a lot of crap all of the time, and I'm not going to lie about that. All right. But thanks for listening anyway. I do appreciate it. So I've been chatting away for 50 odd minutes now, and it's, you know, we've got about 11 minutes to go. But I do want to thank you for tuning in today. I mean, obviously this is a longer one than usual. But there's nothing wrong with sitting around on a long drive with me and listening to me rambling and asking yourself some questions. I mean, it's good, right? You know, thought-provoking conversation. I love a thought-provoking conversation. That's why I like that Afterlife, because it is thought-provoking. It's brilliant. So yeah, I mean, if there's a thought-provoking issue that always makes you go into like a deeper, meaningful, mention it in the comments. What's your thought-provoking subject? And maybe we'll cover it on the podcast, where maybe we'll discuss it together. That would be kind of cool if we could discuss it together. And then maybe we could set the world to rights, make everything right again. I don't know about making it all right, but we'll certainly give it a bash, eh? It'll be okay. But what I'm fascinated with, right, is when you look at the brain, right, it is just a pink glob of mush, isn't it, really? It literally just looks like a piece of discarded chewing gum. But all those electrical signals in there somehow create me and my personality and what I do and how I act and how I speak. How is that possible? How is that possible? And how do you recreate that? Because it's got to be so complex in there. Like, my brain is completely different to everybody else's brain, but completely the same at the same time. That's so weird. You know, there are some people that can't use elements of their brain. I mean, they reckon that you use about 10% of your brain. So imagine what it's like using 100% of your brain. Like, what could you possibly do with the rest of it? Like, how much could you lose? And what does it do? And how do you access it? How do you access the rest of it? I don't know. I mean, it's not as if you can sit there and just go, right, I'm just going to put that plug in, that plug there, and then everything fires up. There's got to be some sort of connection or something that happens to it, that it does something somewhere to make it do bits. And if so, what bits? What does it do? You know, have I got a limb I'm supposed to have that it will control, or an element of my brain where I can, you know, think stuff to it? I mean, it might be like a telepathy thing, but, you know, it's like when you build the first telephone, you've got to build two. So there's no point in having one telephone. Who are you going to ring? So if you've got telepathy, you've got to have someone who can receive telepathy. Otherwise, it's just, yeah, no one there. And that's another thing that literally I think about too as well. Like, you know, we have sight, taste, touch, smell, and what was the other one? Sight, taste, touch, smell. We'll go with those for now. Anyway, for those, you know, you got your senses, and what happens outside of those senses? Right, so what's happening, like, outside of those five senses? There's got to be something that I'm not sensing outside of that. So you can't see it, you can't taste it, you can't touch it, you can't smell it. But there's got to be something outside of that I'm not sensing. The world isn't, well, the whole universe isn't made up and contained solely in them five senses, surely. Because that would mean that the universe does revolve around us. And that simply can't be possible. Can't have an entire universe evolved around humans, because that would mean there's an engineering behind it. And if so, who engineered it? I mean, it's not entirely unplausible, but, you know, if you're engineering something, you're not going to stick something 350 billion light years away from the thing that you've engineered it, you know? Engineered it for. That just seems like poor building management. I don't know. But yeah, there's got to be something outside of those five senses. There has to be. So, nearly there, guys, nearly there. Just wanted to say a big thank you for joining me. If you wouldn't mind liking, subscribing, and putting a notification bell on for the channel, that would mean a hell of a lot. If you want to do a review as well, again, that would mean everything if you could. And if you think it was rubbish, fine, tell me so. Love it. Love that criticism. Only way I can get better. But if you loved it and you want to stick along for the ride, give us a 5-star, and I'll equally love it, because, well, gives me a bit of chest, doesn't it, really? Gives me a bit of chest. So thank you so much. So yeah, I will catch you on the next one, where we'll probably be talking a lot more crap for quite a long period of time for you to enjoy, and I will let you know how this weekend goes with bank holiday, and yeah, and we'll see what the festival is like as well. We might even do one while we're at the festivals. We'll see how we go, whether there's a place to actually do that and talk about it. So take care, God bless, and I will see you again on Riding Shotgun. Peace.